G'day listeners, welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. My name is Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where I get to talk to some really cool sailors, but I have to do it with my two idiot mates. So first off, let's bring to the show Mr. Harry Fisher.
Greetings, exalted one.
Oh, where have I woken up? Where am I? What's going on?
I'll explain all in a minute, Harry, just so you know. And let's welcome the other bloke.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice.
G'day, gentlemen.
G'day. Now, so for the listeners, we've gone to the fourth BK man, Mr. Harry Fisher, to bring in as a substitute for Bice because we thought he was lost in the desert and dead. But then we go to start this, and BP he's missing. But I think he's about to come in. But BP was doing it for everyone. He was delivering Bar Karate Sailors Lager to the Moth Nationals, and he came up to the Sailors Champions League and dropped beers, and he was going to stay in a hotel, and the whole of Newcastle's booked out. So he has taken one for the team. He stood up out of the foxhole and distracted everyone while we got away and cleaned. So I reckon everyone, if you have a drink in hand, should raise your glass for BP because that man's doing it for Australia, doing it for the world. So, but I think he's actually just raced back home. So I suspect he'll be joining us in a sec. So,
I can tell you one thing.
What's that?
Whenever I'm delivering Bar Karate Sailors Lager, you're not getting out of it dry.
He ran away. So, what happened to you, boss?
By the no. Firstly, apologies for missing our 99th episode last week.
100th.
No, well, basically, I've had a look at the numbers, and given I've missed two episodes out of the so far, that equates just to one complete episode. So this week's our 100th. I'm looking forward to it.
Selling it. So Harry Fisher, of course.
Truth be told, I was on Kangaroo Island. Doing a bit of free camping, lack of internet. I must admit, I did just purchase a brand new iPhone. And as I was coming back on the ferry, I thought I'd just switch it off, switch it back on. Next thing you know, I've got internet the whole bloody way. Oh. So possibly my mistake. No, not at all. Not at all. But just a quick one for you, Jordan. Been following your lead. It's been a busy week since I got back from KI. Yep. I've taken up the coaching role. And our co-host, Harry Fisher, he'll be happy with this. Australian rules footy, under sevens. We had our first training run last night with the boys. Mate,
you put them through their paces?
You put them through their paces? If we do not win the flag this year, something's wrong.
Win the flag? I didn't think they kept scoring under sevens.
No, you're right. But we will be.
You'll be keeping score. Yeah.
Oh, dear. All right, well, so Harry Fisher was the man there at the start when we started Bar Karate, and we've had him on the show a few times, and so he's come in as the sub.
I just want to make it clear, though, that, you know, BP not being here was, we had to pull a few strings in the background in Newcastle today, but my management's been working pretty hard behind the scenes in the free agency period to try and get me this opportunity, so I'm going to put my best foot forward.
Good man. Love it.
So your people were obviously talking to our people. They did lunch. Next thing you know, bang, you're
Correct.
on the show.
Correct.
Love
yes.
it. Love it.
Right. Cool. All right, well, shall we get our special guest in?
We shall.
Not a virgin on the show. We had him on last week to quickly talk about the Sailors Champions League, but we want to talk to the guy in his own right because he is a world champion in the 470 class. He is an Olympic gold medalist in the 470 class. Also has spent a lot of his life actually giving back in organising events, which is really cool, you know, like he's got another, and we thought that would be an interesting perspective for a lot of people. So welcome to the show, Mark Turnball.
Well, thank you for that. It's a good introduction.
Well, you did it.
Maybe put it into perspective also, Jordan, just telling the listener where you are and actually who is with you in the room.
Yeah, so we're actually in Newcastle because the Sailors Champions League final for Australia is on in Newcastle. And Harry Fisher and his team from Down Under Sail are doing the live coverage, which will stream Sunday, which will probably be before we actually go to air. So, and
They would have already seen it.
Yeah, you would have already seen it.
It's a great broadcast.
And then, but we told about that last week anyway. And then, and so I'm in the house that all the media and the management are in, and we're recording in their kitchen, in the lounge room. No, we're a dining room. There you go. And so just in sunny Newcastle, and BP couldn't get a hotel because there's triathlon on, there's surfing on, there's sailing on. There's it's big, Sail Fest. We'll come back to that anyway, but let's rip into Mark and give him a hard time.
Rip into him, I shall. Now I've got quite a list here. Given Mark was on the run sheet this week, I gave a call out to a few of the boys in Melbourne, and they've sent me a few tippets.
Okay. I didn't know about this.
No, only joking. We could probably just kick off, Mark, on your actual triumphs within the 470 class. None less so than a gold medal.
Yeah, it's an amazing time in my life. So leading up to 2000, sailing with Tom King in the 470 class. Like the Sydney Olympics was just incredible to be a part of it, and then to actually achieve what we set out to do and win a gold medal. Life-changing. So it's one of those things that every day it still touches my life, even 20 years on.
It's pretty cool.
The 20 years prior to that, Ball.
Yep.
How did it all begin, mate? Was it just down the local yacht club with your parents, or another pathway?
No. So my dad sailed, his dad sailed. So I grew up in a sailing family, and I think I was 6-7 years old. And David built our first sabo in the garage in Tasmania, and pushed my sister Sonia and I out into the Tamar River, and we came back. So that was, I guess, the start of it. So we had a home-built sabo, and in fact, I might take this opportunity, if anyone knows where a sabo 409 hot dog is located, I would love to know. Not that I'm going to buy it, but I would just love to know that it's still out there. Sailing and teaching kids to sail. That was my first boat, which is home built wooden mast. Brilliant. So I learned to sail probably at a young age in Tasmania at Port Dalrymple Yacht Club. So shout out to everyone down there. And moved across to Victoria at the age of 10. So then moved sabos, 420s, lasers, 470s. So I guess a traditional path as it was back then.
Hey, Bice, just letting you know, bud. So Mark's dad's David Turnbull, right? And he literally is just on my right hand here, sitting in listening in. The only person he can't hear is you. So he's hearing all the conversation. And David and I have had plenty of conversations over the last few days and had a few beers. And he's my new best mate. So it's good fun.
You blokes are probably about the same age anyway. So, but that being the case, all those stories I heard from Victoria are all about Dave, actually.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. So started in the sabo. Did you want to sail, or did you just get pushed out?
I don't think I had a choice initially. No. I enjoyed it, but I think I started sailing because Dad was sailing a diamond at the time, and there's a couple of photos of me on the diamond during a race drinking a can of Fanta, probably getting in the way. So I think it was probably a good way to get me off Dad's boat, actually to put me in a sabo with my sister. So it meant obviously he got to do a lot more sailing, and it was the start of a lifetime for me.
I reckon the old diamonds are one of the great old boats from that period. I love a diamond. I'd happily have a diamond now.
Great boats,
they're great boats.
Part of Bicey's list of classes to resurrect, along with the Rainbow and the Gwen 12. Is that right, Nick?
It was part of the Bar Karate Challenge. I've actually just purchased the whiteboard today and a whole heap of magnetic pieces to create the flow for the best off the beach class, of which many of these boats are going to be featured at one point or time.
Well, you got to don't put #diamond out there, mate, or your missus might get a little excited.
Well, hashtag bring back the rainbows going well.
One thing, Mark, I'm keen to find out about your journey was, where was the real turning point between going out and having a blast and having a good time to when you actually said to yourself, I want to make a go of this and really give it a red hot crack? Was there a specific time in your life where you thought that was the path that you're on?
Yeah, something clicked, I think. So I was okay as a kid growing up in junior sabos and state titles, and so I sort of always got it, and it helped actually having Dad as the state coach. So I was probably given a harder time and more coaching at home by Mum and Dad, as well as everyone got on Saturday and Sunday. But it was like, for example, I won my first nationals, so Sabo Nationals in something like 85. But the year before, I didn't even make the Victorian Sabo state team. So I was in Sabo week. So you have the first 80 or odd best sailors in Sabos back then in the nationals, and then everyone who didn't make the team did Sabo week. So I was like 100 and something in Australia in the Sabo class. And then the very next year, something clicked in that time and won the nationals. Obviously, I got a new boat in the process and a brand new aluminium mast, and probably that helped. But all those years of learning and absorbing how to sail, something clicked, and it made sense. And I still keep saying that I probably don't know much more, if anything more, than I did as a 16-year-old. As you get old, you probably learn everything about sailing before you get to 18, and you just maybe get better at implementing it, but you probably don't learn much more. So 15, 16 for me, it started to make sense, and I enjoyed winning. I enjoyed sailing, but then I started enjoying winning, and that made it even more fun.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like the whole pathway, because I think, everyone has a different pathway, and it just works. But your pathway took you to a gold medal, and not many people can claim that. Do you ever sort of look at that and just go, Jesus, this is crazy. I rock up to one Olympics, win it, and then wander off. And it's your home Olympics, 2000. Like you got fated. Like you guys were just such heroes. Yeah,
like a lot of things aligned. Like you have to, and I don't like to use the word lucky because you take, by all the training and work you do behind the scenes, and you spend all this time, 100% of your time and focus to remove luck. Or to remove bad luck. So you try to remove that from the equation, but a lot of things aligned to get us there. So the fact that I got the call from Tom King in 1996 to come and crew for him. I'd actually only pulled on a trapeze harness once before in my life. So on a flying ant with a mate, and had always skippered boats, but I was probably a better size, definitely a better size to skipper to crew on a 470. So to take that leap and go, yep, Tom, I'll come and sail with you this summer. We'll see if we don't kill each other, and we'll just play it by ear from there.
During that process, Paul, how did Tom? He obviously recognised your talent, and was he scoping as Vincent does now in regards to that? You're the perfect size for a 470 crew.
Tom and I we grew up, we're the same age, we grew up in parallel paths, I guess, so we never actually competed against each other as kids, which is probably a really good thing. So he sailed mirrors, I sailed sabos, he moved to 470s pretty quickly. So he was sailing a 470 back in 1992, back when a whole previous generation of your Nigel Abbotts, your Chris Jacksons, your Craig Cobbins, a whole different generation, Jenny Lidgett was, and Addie were doing it back then. So Tom and I watched a previous generation of Melbourne, Black Rock, really, sailors at the top of their game. Tom moved into that Olympic sphere in probably 92. I stayed in 420s for a bit longer. So we'd never actually competed against each other, probably in our whole career. So we never had that competitive edge because we were both, I guess, top in our classes. So when we got together, it was a bit of a collaboration, and we didn't know how it would work. I think I was the right size. I think the main thing, Tom probably thought I was the right temperament, and you have to survive. The first hurdle you have to get over is to survive the 4 years together. Most Olympic campaigns don't last 4 years or 8 years. They fall over in the first 2 or 3 years. So he saw something. I don't know what. Probably have to get Tom on the show. But we're very different people, but we worked well together.
One thing I've always wanted to ask an Olympic gold medalist is, do you ever...
Use it to pick up chicks?
Well, you can ask his wife that, but...
It's a
two-part question. The first one is, where do you keep the medal? And the second thing is, do you ever get it out to show your mates, or do you ever just go and look at it to, because, I mean, just to remind yourself of what you achieved?
I've heard some pretty strange questions in my time. No, it's at home. It's just sitting in literally the sock drawer. It's not the sock drawer, but it's the equivalent of. I'm a big one that I never actually saw or held a gold medal or a medal of any colour until I had one hanging around my neck. So sailing is a sport. We hadn't won a gold medal for 28 years. I think it was Munich was the last time we'd won a gold medal in sailing. So the first time I had one was when I had my own. Nowadays, for me, it's actually the more people who see it, and whether it's a school kid who's never sailed before or taking it to yacht clubs, the better. So I take it wherever I can. I don't have it with me here now, but for
damn it,
going to yacht clubs and passing it around the room, and it's got scratches and dents and teeth marks, and it's been dropped. But it adds to the character. It's 20 years old, and hopefully a lot of people have touched it, held it, taken a photo with it. Some may have taken something from it, been inspired, because I think that's important. And now we're actually in a sport that we've got a legacy of continued success. So since 2000, we're winning.
It's a real symbol, isn't it? I mean, the Olympics in itself is a symbol, and the medals that are presented are a symbol. I think if you can use that to inspire anyone, whether it's great or small, is pretty cool.
And Victor's big on this, that you're the very top of a large pyramid. So you're supported by a huge amount of people, from your family from when you were young to your mates, from sponsors, Australian Sailing, your coaches. So you are just the last two people standing, but a lot of people have got you there. And so I hope, and it's really great that, like your Slingsbys and your Outridges and all the current Olympians, as we did back in the past, like Tom and I built on what was a really healthy, strong Black Rock scene, and hopefully now the current Olympians are benefiting from a really strong, healthy Australian sailing scene of coaches and support and funding.
It's pretty cool. So you clearly are still following the Olympic stuff.
Yeah. I love it. And I'm still involved, like I'm Vice President of the Victorian Olympic Council, and so I'm involved in the Olympic side of the sport, or of all sports, and still involved in Australian sailing to a bigger, it goes up and down, so it's still involved in the admin of sport,
If you were choosing, I know this is an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you were choosing, what would be the Olympic classes going forward?
That's tough. Ooh. Okay.
You got a couple of big fellas next to you, mate. So.
Okay. So I loved the 49er. I did the 49er after Sydney. So Tom and I finished Sydney
with
amazing.
Nick Partridge.
With Nick Partridge, awesome bloke. One of my best mates.
The Cannons.
The Cannons. Yeah, he's.
BP's here.
BP.
Here he is.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, BP, did my management get in touch with you?
They need another 2 cartons dropped off at the base of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Can you be there by 9?
Hang on a second. I'll just call them up. Yeah, hello. Is BP beer delivery service? Yep. Yeah, no problems. Yeah, he says no worries.
Right. So BP's back. Let's continue because we've asked a hard question.
Yeah. So let me my preferred favourite classes. So 49ers are brilliant. FXs are brilliant because they're high performance, fast.
Yep.
They're great. That's what sailing is. A one design class, obviously, whether it's a laser, a fin, or like there needs to be that element to. So you have your one. It's your 100 metre sprint. It's the equivalent of a single handed male and female. That's pretty clear. I do think you need to have represent different elements of science. So cats, kites, and windsurfers have to be there.
Right.
Like they're massive, and the growth in kites and foiling and those new classes. I call them new. That like cats and windsurfers aren't new.
No.
But foiling is a massive part of our sport, and all the kids are foiling. So that's where it has to go. I'm a big fan of the double-handed mixed offshore.
Yeah,
I think that would be amazing.
The marathon, as BP just said, yeah.
Yeah, the opportunities that has. I think that would be a really good addition, and I really hope Paris adopts that.
Okay, well, how's this one? I'm going to throw one at you guys. 2032 Olympics, there'll be the virtual sailing gold medal.
So look at the marathon. So the double-handed keelboat. It is perfect for a virtual competition. So you've got your maybe 12 top professional Olympic sailors doing it, but you can have 200,000 online competitors racing at the same time in the same conditions, potentially beating them.
Australia will never win, though, because our internet speeds are far too slow.
No.
Hey, political will go pretty well in the virtual downhill skiing. Couple of blokes sit next to you.
Just on that virtual thing, I think I'm still sailing around the world. I think I forgot to turn it off.
You're on your fourth lap, BP.
I don't know where I am at the moment.
Yeah, I think that virtual...
Yeah, Stephen Brayshaw's claimed his couple of... we got to send him some.
But that virtual stuff, so like I also run regattas, so Sail Melbourne and other things, and too often we get days that are blown out and the Oppie kids can't go sailing. I think that we should then keep them ashore because half the time their parents have dropped them off for the day anyway, and have then 3 or 4 races virtually that count for your real regatta.
It's something that the WASP class is doing a fair bit of, like with they've just launched like a race hub online, and in there they have their global rankings for their events, but because it was launched throughout COVID, they were setting up e-sailing with WASP members around the world, and they were basically competing in a world championships on their computers. You know, it just keeps people engaged.
Yeah, it's complimentary. Like, I don't do it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's not a good thing.
How did my joke comment can become so serious?
All right, back on track.
Happens a lot with us, Jay.
What do we do? So we talked about that. So who's the toughest competitor you sailed against?
Ooh. So our competitors going into Sydney were Paul Forrester, and he was tough. Like, he'd won, I think it was a silver in the FDs in Barcelona. I've probably got this wrong, but he'd come from multiple Olympic Games through the American system, where there's a belief, if you are an American sailor back in the day and you made it through their qualification system, you believed that you were going to win a medal. You weren't going to the Olympics to make up the numbers. The Americans were going to win a medal of any colour, but they were going to win something. And those American sailors back then had come through that system. And so Paul Forrester, because in many ways he was a lot like Tom King, so really serious, really focused, just had his eyes set on the goal. And so he was by far our toughest competition because he was the most similar to us. But I should, like Nathan Wilmot, then you take the other extreme of a really...
really serious to Nathan.
of a really talented natural sailor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who in many ways that's tougher to beat for someone like Tom and I, who we did the hard work, we just nutted it out until we got it right, to come up against someone who appeared to not have to put that amount of work in and was a naturally gifted sailor, and still is. That's tough to compete against. And so you see some sailors now, like your Nathan Outridges, and like they just, I don't know if they see things that other people don't see, but they seem to make it easier than the rest of us see. That's tough to compete against.
I want to add another one because, of course, you did another 4 years trying on the 49ers and you're up against, who was it? Chris Nicholson?
Chris someone? Yeah, Chris Nicholson.
He's
bloody tough. Yeah. Like he's, and I think, I won't pretend to know Chris's background or up, but he's a tough nut. Like he's a plumber, tradie, electrician. There's some background that he comes from a tough background and he works hard. And he's an extremely talented sailor, full stop. But he just works hard. So whether it's Volvo or Olympic campaigns. So Nick and I, Partridge and I, took on the challenge to try to take him down. And that was a huge challenge. I mean, we didn't get there. We gave ourselves 4 years to get up to his level. And we had a great time trying, but we got beaten in the trials and we walked away from that 4-year Olympic campaign sort of going, well, we didn't get good enough. And that made it easy to take. We didn't break a mast, we didn't have excuses, we just didn't get good enough.
Nice and humbling.
Winning is obviously like the pinnacle, going to the Olympics, winning that gold medal. There is a lot of people along that journey that you compete against. You talk about your competitors. It's not just the other countries that you race against that win silver, bronze and all the other places, but all of the people that are trying to win that spot as well. There's a lot of heartbreak along the way for a lot of people.
Yep.
Do you can you empathise with that in that 2000 year, the amount of people that you went along that journey with?
And we're in a great time in Australian sailing. So Victor Kovalenko came on board, created this 470 squad, because he came when effectively we were nothing in the 470 class. And he came and put together a program of a squad to actually get, 4 or 6 teams in both the male and female to build the competition internally, to build us all up to actually get to the point that one of us, or maybe multiple, like if Tom and I didn't win, maybe someone else could have come along and won it as well. Really good stuff, like Lee Napton. He had Malcolm Page crewing for him for a long time. And as I said before, the hardest part is surviving the 4 years financially. It was a different time back then that it was, there wasn't the funding because we weren't successful, so it was tough. So first you had to survive it financially and then just emotionally and have the support there, whether it's from partners or family or friends. So it was really a game, you could only do it by being really selfish.
Just sorry to jump in there, Jordan. Dave still can't hear me.
No, Dave can't hear you.
All right. So, Bull, did Dad fund your campaign then for those 4 years?
Emotionally funded it, supported it at every step. Financially, no. No.
So how did you get by with the limited funding?
So our budgets back in the
drinking
day,
out of Vegemite?
we would spend about $100,000 a year in broad figures. We'd spend about 7 to 8 months in Europe each year. And Tom and I started out, we came 40th in our first World Championships in Israel. So we were bad. But there was potential there and we knew that we could get there. So I guess a third of our funding would have come from government sources, so scholarships from Victorian Institute of Sport and AIS and Australian Sailing. I was going to say AYF, but it wasn't Australian Yachting Federation in those days, but it was close. A third then from supporters, yacht clubs, supporters, sponsors, and then a third personal. So for a good example, in the year, we won a gold medal in 2000 and both Tom and I ended up in debt by about $30,000 in that year. So by winning a gold medal didn't actually change the financial side of it, but we weren't doing it for that. So we were...
Oh, come on. You must... Like you win a gold medal in Australia, like you all got given a gold Commodore or something.
Yeah, well, sailing doesn't have the Weet-Bix box endorsement, does it?
A statesman, right?
No, so the Golden Commodore, the Golden Holden, was an awesome promotion that Holden did once for Barcelona. So 92.
Oh.
And then everyone thinks that the Golden Holden stuck around to after...
Oh, no.
No. So, unfortunately not. Audi came on board when the Outridges and Slingsby...
Yeah, they all got Audis.
Yeah, they got
So
Audis.
you got
and
what?
We got
You just
a
fell
stamp.
in.
We got Australia Post put a head on
Ford
a stamp.
Escort RS2000.
Datsun 120Y.
So it's interesting that all my wedding invitations to all our guests went out with my stamp on it, with my head and Tom on the wedding invitation.
Oh,
so that was obviously that.
So you've had
so
a
you
lot of
got a
people. You've had a lot of people lick you behind.
Yes, yeah.
Beauty. You blokes talked about that, didn't you?
No, it's just natural humour.
We still on the Olympic stuff for a little bit? Yeah. I what's obviously going through something like that.
BP's looking at Harry going, how come you've just subbed in so quick? Keep going, mate.
Well,
I can't
you got to
see
take your opportunities, BP. I just want to know, like, you and Tom obviously still keep in touch, still pretty good mates.
Yeah. Like I guess we have a brother type relationship. You spend so much time with one person. You're living in their pocket for 4 years, and we're different but similar in so many ways. So he lives in Brisbane but works in Sydney. I'm in Melbourne still, so we don't see each other enough. But when you do, it's like there's a common bond. Like you've gone through a lot. So yeah, that never changes.
Yeah. That would be, similar to anyone doing long ocean races or anything like that. But that would be the exact same thing.
Yeah, there's so much trust that has to build up for it to work. And we were really fortunate. Like we could have walked away from Sydney and not won a gold medal. And life would be totally different. Still be similar, but by everything aligning at the right time and us doing the right thing, we won a gold, and that therefore changes your life forever.
Yeah, cool. The one question I've got to ask, because being Olympic gold medalist, you've been nominated for World Sailor of the Year. You must be a master of all boats. So, what's the favourite boat you've sailed? Don't say rainbow. God, don't say rainbow.
Putting aside the rainbow,
I think Mark sailed an Australian Sharpie down at Gary once. He told me the other day.
I believe so.
I did a university games.
I might just move that little magnet up the chart.
So I did the university games in a Sharpie for Melbourne Uni with Tom. In fact, that was probably the first time I ever sailed with Tom at a university games, and there's not much sailing.
So you're saying that the Sharpie is orchestrated the gold medal?
Medal.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's put the Sharpie up there.
Can I just say, university games, I'm actually banned for life from university games.
Can you tell us why?
Not on air. Continue.
470 is a beautiful boat. Like it's a great boat, so technical, and the racing side is the joy of sailing a 470. Well, is the racing and how close it is. So that was fantastic. But the 49er, I probably enjoyed more. Like as a boat, it's just a buzz to go sailing on. So you actually enjoyed training in the 49er more than you do the racing, and in the 470, it's the opposite. You enjoyed the racing, and the training was just brutal hard work. And that's maybe because of Victor as our coach. It was enjoyed the racing in the 470 and the training in the 49er.
Well, if you go the double hand Olympic class, you'll be able to sail BP's X2, and then you'll have a magic boat to sail. Hey, BP.
That's the plan.
Bring it on.
I'm a man of few words because I don't know what you've said.
Just ask, mate.
Oh, you should have heard what they said before, BP.
I tell you what, you should have been at that place where they were hanging out today.
Yeah, I
I said,
do.
my God.
We had we had a couple of yeast waters, didn't we, BP, on the Honeysuckle Wharf today?
I did sneak one in, yes, while my wife and kids were walking along the dock. But I've got to say, if you don't mind rewinding the clock back to that event, saw the Jordan out there having a sail, Bicey.
All right, let's move on. Move on.
Oh, big red moving.
We'll bring it back. We'll come back to that, all right?
Okay,
Yeah.
no worries. Well, as I
That'll
said,
be
I
in
don't know where you are with
the
it. Hey,
highlights reel.
Yeah.
Mark, I've got a question for you regarding the Olympics. When you left the 470 and obviously Matt Belcher, I think, and the guys took over at the 470 range, did they ever get in touch with you? Did you ever chat to them about things?
Yeah, I think the master plan at one point was that. So Matt Belcher and Daniel, they bought our Olympic 470. So they were straight from winning 420 Worlds, I think, at that point. Nathan Wilmot and Malcolm Page were the next ones who sort of carried forward to obviously, where was it, Athens?
Yeah.
And then after that. So I think in a Victor world, I was probably going to sail with Matt Belcher, which would have been amazing. Like, it would have worked great. But
Yeah,
in
because
my
he was going gangbusters, wasn't he?
an amazing sailor. And it would have, I think that would have been great. But in my world, I couldn't have done another 470 campaign. Like Tom and I had done it, achieved everything more than we ever thought we could. Like winning the gold medal was always the dream and the goal, but the year we had in 2000 with Worlds and effectively every European regatta, and it clicked. I couldn't probably do the dieting anymore, and so the 49er was the obvious choice for me, and Tom had he'd probably done 12 years of Olympic sailing, so I think he was ready to move on. So I didn't seriously consider staying in the 470.
Do you think
that would have been a smart move.
Do you think you would have considered it more if you didn't win the gold medal? Was that a slate cleaning sort of exercise in winning it to go, well, I've achieved that, what's next?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, you're probably right. I might have.
That's a common, not only an athlete thing, but a sponsor thing as well. When you go into something with certain goals and expectations, and if you overreach those goals and expectations, the next thing is, well, what's next?
Yeah, what now? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Henley Sharks under sevens blue this year will probably have the same issue, I think.
Where are you playing your son, Bicey? At full back, I'm sure?
No, he'll be all over the ground. He'll be on the ball. I'm shaving it, a mohawk in, just full dusty Martin.
Some tats on him?
He's already got.
Yeah, he's got a full. No, he's got his first sleeve done today. Actually, on his left arm.
Down at Henley Inc. Just
Henley Inc. Well, that's it. He's got to catch up though. He's got to get the legs done next. So,
ball. Sorry, mate.
Yep.
And I know the Olympics a huge thing, and then going on from that, and then you've moved now into the race management side of things. Was that something you wanted to do? You just fell into naturally?
I guess I never wanted to be a professional sailor. I never thought that I would make a career out of being a sailor. So I never aspired to that. So the Olympics was, I guess, a full stop. Like it wasn't like often that's seen as the university then to do America's Cup or Volvo or be a pro sailor. That was never my goal. I'd done construction project management at uni, done a couple of years of actually work in the real world, and quickly realised after the Olympic Games that probably I didn't want to go back to that, but could use those project management skills in sailing events. So I was really lucky that I got to work on the Volvo Ocean Race in 2005 and 6 when it first came to Melbourne, which was amazing because that was leading into the Commonwealth Games. It was well funded and done. Like that stopover was a highlight, and so to be involved with that was fantastic. And then that I swore I'd never do events after that. I think most people in the events game, they do it and then swear that they'll never do events again, and then 3 months later they're back doing it. So then from that point I set up my own event management company that specialises in sailing events, whether it's World Championships and bringing them to Melbourne, helping with the funding and the operations. So I've been doing that now for the last, I guess, 12 years, running new tech events for sailing events.
Well, let's look at the events you've run. So you've been to some fairly significant events. So obviously the Volvo, and then Sail Melbourne Festival of Sails, and then now this Sailors Champions League, which we've got going on. So you've been the Sail Melbourne and Festival of Sails have been huge events. Like you must get very tired.
For a long time, like Sail Melbourne, I sailed in the very first Sail Melbourne in 91 or 92.
Was that Darren organising? The name Darren pops in my head.
There was Darren Dunkley-Smith, but then Campbell Rose, Peter Danks, all these people. Like Campbell Rose went on to be the CEO of the Bulldogs at footy level, and CEO of Melbourne Major Events. Peter Danks also Grand Prix. So I worked with some really pretty good people. And so Sail Melbourne, I was a sailor in 420s in 91. then after the games was sort of, I guess, the patron ambassador, then was the chairman of the event from 2004 to 2008, and then moved to actually be the event director from, about 2010 onwards, when we merged. Sail Melbourne became a leg of the Sailing World Cup. So Melbourne hosted a leg of the Sailing World Cup when that was going to be the biggest and greatest thing in world sailing for Olympic sport. Didn't quite pan out that way. But we hosted that for about 6 years, and actually took that to St Kilda. And I guess my role is to help clubs or associations, Australian Sailing, whatever, to take events to the public. So whether that's taking it to St Kilda and putting it in the park, or bringing the general public to the yacht club, and trying to stretch what the traditional regatta is and show it to more people.
So when did you make the decision just to put your photo on the front part of the brochure for Sail Melbourne, when it was just the focus of you? How long did that go on for?
Oh, a good 8 years. Had to milk it for a while.
How have you found the response from government over the years? Has it changed from,
that's a good
2000 through to...
High five yourself.
Through to... How have you found that?
Harry, just pipe down, mate, with these serious questions, please.
It's like I'm facing Tracy Grimm with the current affairs.
Sandra Sully.
No, the good part is we've just entered our second show. First show had about over 100, so we've re-got another 23% Bison, so it's okay.
All right. Do you want me to ask a stupid question?
No, keep going. Keep going. You're halfway along.
No, but that government, sailing is, if you compare it to, from an Olympic sport point of view, track and field and swimming, and, it's sort of, from a public's point of view, slides a little bit further down the scale in terms of what people seem to think is the priority sports. But how have you found any changes in government attention on sailing?
It's got tougher. Like we're a sport that the general public perceives doesn't need the assistance or help. So you have to fight that. We're also a sport that politically, governments don't win elections by helping out sailing.
Are you alluding to the political allegiance of sailors, or?
Yeah, just not many elections are won on the sailing vote.
Keeping the sailors happy.
Yeah, it's just not a good one. But the Victorian government has been a massive supporter of sailing to establish, and it all led off with Sydney getting the Olympic Games. So then Victorian government set a strategy in place to actually leverage off that and create Sail Melbourne as one of the global Sailing World Cup type events, and involve our ocean race. And it comes back, so part of my role is actually that relationship with state governments to secure funding and support. And sailing, we don't get many eyes on TV, we don't get broadcast. And maybe we never will, I don't know. I'd like to think we could. But sailing's actually very good at economic impact. We're not a 1 day or 3 hour event where someone comes and does a triathlon and then leaves. People come from, so the Melges 24 Worlds down in Geelong, I think it was like 2015. You've got high net worth people who are madly passionate about the sport coming from Italy, all over the world, to come to Australia, and they don't come for 3 days, they come for 3 weeks. So from an economic impact point of view, sailing stacks up massively. So it's a large part is educating the sailors that it's sometimes our sport isn't the be-all and end-all. From a government perspective, they're just looking at, okay, does that stage show, does the latest thing from Broadway or London, what economic impact does that bring versus a sailing event, versus a UFC fight, versus a State of Origin event? Which event brings tourists and how much are they going to spend? And sailing does that okay. We can't say well, but it does it okay. But it's got tougher. Like, it's much, much tougher.
And you constantly feel like you have to convince them that that's worth spending their money on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about, justifying, and it's through media reports after the event. It's you can't just run a sailing event nowadays if you've got sponsors or state government, and state government or federal are a sponsor, and they're looking for a return, and you then have to justify it. So the amount of work that goes into proving what the event delivers is huge. So, and that is actually getting media. Like, some classes the sailors may not think media is important, but the people who fund the sport think media is important. So you need to get live streams and YouTube channels and things out there to be seen to the general public.
Mark, it might be the way I've got my headphones set up, but the bloke sitting to the left of you, Harry Fisher.
That's to the left's his father, David Turnbull, who's at the table.
Okay, wrong, mate. Damn it. Well, anyway, the bloke sitting next to you is delivering a whole heap of media this week. So obviously you've understood that and can see the value in that. And based on what you're presenting this week with the league and stuff, are you seeing the actual return?
No, is the answer.
I'm out on the street now, boys. Thanks for that.
No, but this is actually we're doing the Sailing Champions League, which is an extension of what's been really successful in Europe for 8+ years now. And the club versus club league, sailing as a sport is all about individuals traditionally, not about clubs. This is a league concept that exactly the same as soccer. Most other sports, it's club versus club. So we're having to invest, and with Harry and his team, invest in creating a product called the Sailing Champions League Asia Pacific that then we can take and convince clubs all around Australia or in New Zealand and Asia that they need to be a part of this because it's exciting, it's fun, the sailors love it, and it solves, I think, a massive problem that what does the sport or clubs provide for the 18 to 28 or 18 to 35-year-old. So youth and junior sailing is parent funded. The reality is and that's what it's been for probably the last 50 years. Parents fund kids sailing. What do we do? How do we actually keep those kids in sailing from when they turn 18 if they're not on the Olympic path? If they're on the Olympic path and one out of, I don't know what the number is, 1,000 might be on that. How do we keep the rest of those people and make them good club sailors and make them actually stay at clubs?
Yeah. And just really on the serious side of things, has
as we all laugh,
has Jordan convinced you for the final race tomorrow afternoon?
Oh, boys.
Sorry.
The final round robin race. I don't know if they'll...
Sunday for the final to be the Jordan the Awesome Pursuit race.
He did actually go through that whole concept with me. We had an intriguing, good, 15 minutes of my life I'll never get back. But he's come up with lots of ideas. So we've been standing on Honeysuckle Hotel, the pier.
We'll come to that new idea. We're going to do that. We're coming to that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
on the grandstand there.
But Bicey, as an Olympic gold medalist, Mark has to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people. Some of them he'll dispose of, fairly quickly, won't he?
Correct. And some that he'll absolutely take on board, like Jordan the Awesome. What was it? Jordan the Great.
Jordan Spencer the Great.
No. It's the official title is the Bar Karate Pursuit Race, as created by the great Jordan Spencer.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
By the great Jordan Spencer. I can see it. I was there today, and I thought I looked out there, and I thought, you know what? I can see this. It's going to happen.
Wait till I come up with my new idea, boys. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Bicey's just going to roll. I know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm about to say.
All right, let's keep going. So I don't want to go too deep into Sailfest, but just, the whole element of event management. And do you feel like actually we will go into Sailfest, do you actually feel like you're sort of giving back, or it's just your career?
Bit of both, actually. So I really feel that this sailing league is actually, it's not giving back, but I want to create something that I think the sailing industry in Australia needs. So I think there's a real problem to solve, and I think the sailing league may be part of helping fix that.
But it's a pathway.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a pathway that doesn't exist, and we are so far behind what's happening in Europe and America at the moment in that non-Olympic stuff. The Olympic stuff, America, we have some of the best sailors in the world, but Club level sailing is not healthy. I don't think at all levels. But like, so I've been doing this for 12 years or so, and Festival of Sails is a great example. So what happens in Geelong is amazing. But it's 100,000 general public coming down to the foreshore, and there's 2,500 sailors. And yes, the history and the credibility of Festival of Sails is about 175 years of the passage race and the regatta. But the 100,000 general public don't know. And I've been in committee meetings where people have sort of said, "Oh, so why are we doing this for all the ice cream liquors?" And they described all the, that is the mums and dads who buy their kid an ice cream on shore is exactly why we're doing this, to get them looking out to sea and not looking over the horizon, but looking 5 minutes, like as close as possible. So, and this sailing league is actually here in Newcastle is awesome because it's not about putting the sailing close enough for the shore to see it. It's actually putting it close enough for them to hear it. In fact, we were sitting on the dock there, and I think ice was being thrown out of drinks and hitting the boats.
I was there for that.
Is that why all the hotels have been sold out? Apparently,
absolutely. It's not because it's World Surfing League that's happening at the same time.
That's
Definitely
right.
Yeah, nothing to do with that.
Actually, just on that, what events, in all your experience, do you reckon sailors have responded to most? Do they like the really long races, or do you reckon it's the shorter races? Or
I from my dinghy background, the shorter races, and I think sailors want to be seen a part of the show. Like the traditional part that maybe is holding us back is race management. The sailors want to do short, fun, sharp races, and lots of it. In the last 2 days, we've done 48 races. So 48 12 to 15 minute races, which has just been intense. Intense for the sailors, but intense for the umpires. Like, we've spent some long hours out on the water, and it's not easy, but I think that's we're doing the days of doing one race a day are gone. The days of doing 3 races, we've do 24 races in a day. It's so
just so you know, boys, my good mate Jeff Robinson, Robbo, who's a Newcastle sailor, sailing with Mick Babbage, who's a Newcastle sailmaker. They're still running the 1986 rule book. They're causing all sorts of havoc out there.
Master Beam.
Master Beam's back.
Oh, I love Master Beam. Still today.
They're a pair of idiots. They've got Harley Attridge on there, and she can't
Harry
fix them.
Fisher, obviously, you know what discussion needs to happen with Ball at some point in time here, which I'll leave that to your discretion.
Yeah, those conversations are already sort of starting to transpire. But
one for you, Ball. You're obviously on quite a few committees and a few things like that. But apart from the Etchels, what's the biggest controversy in sailing going down right now, mate?
Surely it's the weight limits, isn't it, in the two-person boats?
Gotta be.
So putting aside the actual thing, which is really hard to put aside, like looking from the grandstand, which is where I'm looking at it from, I've got no vested interest in what's happening there. It's astounding. Like, it is literally astounding what's happening there. Leadership. Sailing needs leadership. Like, people like Mark Turner back in the day with the Volvo, it needs inspirational people with enthusiasm who set the bar massively high and might fail in the process, and probably I hope I'm not one of them. So, because I'm trying to do something with the Sailing League and I can't afford to fail, it has to work. But I think we're in a great sport that we love doing, and it's optimistic and it's fun, and it's there's nothing bad about our sport, and yet there's so much pessimism around. We just need to be more optimistic about it, and I think our leadership needs to do that. World Sailing, Australian Sailing Clubs, we need to just be more ambitious in what we're trying to do, because if we keep doing the same, we're not just we're going backwards. Everyone else is getting better, every sport. I've got kids who are 11 and 14. Every other sport is doing a lot.
dominating. You look at surf life saving and things like that.
Yeah,
and the beach is just crowded, right?
Yep. So there's a lot we can learn.
Harry, you can relate to this. We go back to our local yacht club in Port Lincoln, and where is everyone? What's going on?
And it's a constant battle as well for, when you start to see small declines, but then no volunteers to take over that management, it becomes that downward spiral where the same people are trying to pull it out of the dust. But it's tough. But like Mark's saying, there needs to be that fresh angle of leadership to really take the sport in maybe not a new direction, but a direction that's going to, and maybe Sailing Champions League is that concept that's really going to revolutionise the way young people see the sport and take it into a new generation.
And maybe it's like we've got some amazing sailors, the Olympic sailors that have come out of Australia recently, and they're all stepping into management and leadership roles in professional sailing. Maybe that's the future, and Daniel Belcher is the president of Yachting Australia. Surely he's the youngest president we've ever had, or Australian sailing, I should say. So there is change, but I think we need to be more aggressive at it.
It's pretty good having someone named Belcher as our.
I must admit, the interactions I have had with that side of things is they are verging on the progressive side as opposed to the traditional side, which I see as only positive.
Yep. Yeah, we can't get to the point there's a revolution like that. We can't throw out things that have been done. We just have to work with the system, but not accept the status quo.
Yep, concur.
All right, so the question then becomes, you spend all this time watching events. Do you ever just sort of look there and just wish you were out there?
Yes. The last time I owned a boat was 2004, a 49er or a couple of 49ers. I went for, 10 years of not owning. Now I own 6.
And you don't sail them.
I own 6 RS21s. I own like 121 foot boat if you add them all together. Or whatever it is. So I'm going to be
a threat in Hobart.
Exactly. So I'm probably rivaling Matt Allen in the number of lineal feet of boat ownership. I don't know. No, probably not. I've got a bit to go there. So I forgot what the question was, but it's.
Oh no! Do you ever miss?
You want to go yachting, mate?
It's a hard one. Yeah, I love going on the water. I actually enjoy going out on a powerboat now. It's pretty sad. Cooter boats, going on any sort of boat is great. So sailing boats better than powerboats. Racing can spoil the fun sometimes, and because I come from a position, I know that to win you have to put in a lot of work, and I know how much work it does take. So to actually step onto a boat that hasn't done the work, whether it's a keel boat or whatever, and expect to win, and Jordan's smiling a bit here, he's just stepped straight onto a boat and he's done all the work. Like, that's the sad part about Jordan's story, this regatta. He's done the work, he's done the preparation. It's just, it's a travesty.
I have to say, with my 5 minutes or 10 minutes that I was with you today, I was watching, what was going on, and you were pretty stoked just to be sitting there watching it. I mean, that's what it's about as well for you now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I enjoy sort of watching others do it. I do get, as an event organiser, promoter, I love and I want it to be windy. I want it to be exciting. As a boat owner, I just cringe. It just tears my heart out every time a kite drop goes wrong and they run over the sail, and so I'm really conflicted. It's a tough gig actually to watch this.
Running your own events, I've run a couple of small events, and when people come back to you and say they had an awesome time, does that make up for it tenfold on going out and having an awesome time yourself? I mean,
yeah, there won't be a day leading up to the event I question why the hell I'm doing this, because it's a huge amount of work, and that's great, and it's the life I've chosen, so it's awesome. But every day at this event and every Sailing League event we've done, the sailors actually come up to me and sort of say thank you. And I'm not making it up, I actually do, and they don't have to. but they sort of come up and say, "We've had an awesome day, thank you," and that's that's really good. Like I'm impressed that they do that.
Fantastic. All right, I reckon we might bring in some of our other topics. So we might play into some of the other topics. Are you guys happy to continue on?
Yes.
Are you here?
BP, are you happy for me to continue on?
I'm absolutely more than happy, mate. I'm like
In
I
the
said,
background, you wouldn't believe it. They've your people spoke to his people. They've had dinner. They're still at dinner.
They're still there. I think BP's people are just starting to put the moe on the table, so maybe this call for celebration.
No, my dinner's about to arrive. I've just got the door open. That's why I'm half cocked with the headphones.
I've been watching you. You've been busy. You've been busy in the background.
I'll put a hold on your Uber Eats account.
All right. Ready?
Yeah, funky vat.
All right. So let's actually roll into Sailfest Newcastle. Talk about the event. I'm going to just give you a sort of brief from the perspective. So, first off, the faults.
Sailor's perspective or Barkarati?
The faults.
The perspective of a mid-fleet bowman.
Be careful because I was actually there. So let's just make sure now I'm a part of this conversation.
We need subs for over 50s.
Bring in the fluorescent vest.
Don't you love how Barkarati just
Told
makes up
you
rules
you'd
that go
roll
along?
into AFL style soon.
Yeah, that's
Bringing
it.
subs
That's
in.
it.
Yeah.
Nah, it's
Medical sub.
there's a bit of genius going on. Like they've positioned it right in front of the Honeysuckle Hotel, which is a huge hotel right on the water's edge, and literally some of the boats have actually come so close you could have flicked the side stays. They've come right next.
Thrown ice at them.
Yeah, or throwing ice at it. So it's good. You know, people are actually asking. Like people are sitting there because you've got half. It's the way it's working is you do 4 races, and the other half of the fleet are sitting on the balcony waiting to go, and so they have time for food and drink and relax and conversation, and then you swap over and go and do 4 races, and you're doing about 12 races a day, and they're about 10 to 12 minutes. So it's working really well, and all jokes aside, from a coaching perspective, it's fantastic to do it because you get to, one, see how well good boats are sailing, but also highlight weaknesses because, you know, everything's happening in an intense level. So your crew handling, your understanding of how you position coming off a market or how you come and set or rolling into drive sets and all the elements of just even balancing your boat or how you accelerate out of attack. You know, everything is highlighted because you're so close. So you never get that separation. So if you make a mistake, you end up in someone's gas or you end up in the wrong position. It is a little shifty, you know, because we're on waterway and that's just the nature of the beast and no one actually cares about that. The boats are great. I think that every boat like this sort of size should mandatory have one of these little electric motors on. It's just so much fun. You just go zook and pull it down and off you go. And then apparently I'm not allowed to put it down while we're racing, I've discovered. But it's good. It's good. And I think you could actually create, like the clubs would be mad not to be involved in this. Absolutely mad because the sailors are developing. Like you can see them developing and they're making contacts and it's transferable across to the match racing stuff and it's fun. And you could actually just, all the clubs should just go, okay, I'll do it this month, you do it next month, and so on and so on and so on. And it's good. It's a good event. So, you know, I think more power to it, you know, like, and the way we've done it, you guys have done it in a stadium form is really, really cool.
Yeah, and I think that removing boat ownership from the equation is important. Not all clubs can own fleets of boats. Big clubs do, and they do it well. But small, it has to provide a level playing field for an off-the-beach club to take on a Royal Sydney or a CYCA. To send your best sailors, whether they're 29 sailors or whether they're actual sailors or 16 or 60 years old, doesn't matter. But also having 50-50 gender. So every crew here has 2 male, 2 female. And it makes for a better event. Like the atmosphere is just better. Yeah,
absolutely. It's really fun. Like everyone's having really, it's you've never had so much time to just be able to have a good conversation and make new friends. It's good fun.
I think what's great about the SCL, having just seen it this year pretty well, coming to the Mornington event, the washed out Newcastle event, and now the actual Newcastle event, is that what Mark's doing is entirely neutral of clubs as well. While clubs are the key customer, they're the key competitor, what Mark's doing is he's transcending all of that to go, I'm running this event for sailing. Then it doesn't matter if you're the Brighton and Seacliff Yacht Club from Adelaide or the Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, they are 100% on a level playing field. And these sailors are having some incredible racing, a really good time, but overall it's entirely neutral of anything other than, if one club's running an event or another club's running a competing event, there may be politics there. This trumps all that.
Yep. And we could be doing this by ourselves in isolation in Australia and have created this, but this actually now links into a worldwide system. So there's 23 countries around the world have a national sailing league. 19 of them are in Europe, and they are huge. Like Germany has a national sailing league, but it's got 3 divisions, and each division has 24 clubs in it. So a Division B club aspires to get to Division A. But the winners from this event here go on to compete against the best clubs in the world. So hopefully, COVID
permitting.
Yep. The winner of this event will go over to Porto-Cervo and, like Royal Sydney did in 2019.
I should have tried. Porto-Cervo, Jesus.
So, in saying that, Bull, we're recording, just for the listeners, on a Saturday night. The final day is to come. Give us your prediction for the winner.
Okay, so the format is we will have had, 48, something like 56 odd, maybe more actually, close to 60 qualifying races. The top 4 boats then carry through to a final. And the final is unique that it's the first boat to win 2 races, which means whoever wins the last race of the regatta wins...
4 boats.
With 4 boats. Yep. Whoever wins the qualifying series carries one first place into that final 4 series. So it could be over in one race. If that boat's dominated, which Royal Tasmanian Yacht Squadron is doing at the moment, like they're in first, they will carry, or whoever will carry one place into the final. If they win the first race, they deserve to win, but it could go down to any one of those 4 boats winning 2 races in a row. My gut feeling, who's going to win this?
I love it.
Oh, I think Jordan. If it's still mathematically possible.
Don't tell my crew, but 2 days ago, before we turned up, I booked lunch for Sunday for the finals. Don't tell my team.
Jordan will put himself on the trade table.
Grant Simmer and Ben Ainsley put together the Bay of Islands during the America's Cup.
That's it.
If I was putting money on it, the Tasmanians are looking pretty sweet.
They're looking really good. There's some good teams out there. They're having a great time.
Yep.
The beauty of this, though, is that Sam Kingo, who's the skipper of the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania team, came in. I was chatting to him today. He came in from one of the rounds. No, well, he's done one Sharpie race, so that's why I talk to him now. But no, he was saying that because they've been so dominant, they actually started to find themselves getting hunted a little bit on the start line. Oh. So if they roll into the final a race ahead against 3 other teams and it's match points straight off the bat, I tell you what, no one is going to let the Tasmanians off the line easy. So
absolutely,
make sure you tune into this live stream.
Absolutely.
Well, sorry, you would have tuned into this live stream about an hour ago, and you would have seen exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, go back and rewatch it if you
rewatch it.
Yeah, that's it. Just go back and rewatch it. That's a good one.
Yep. And also we've got Olympic sailors here. So we've got Hadley Outridge competing, Mara, who's touch wood is going to Tokyo.
Yep.
So we've got awesome quality sailors.
It's great standard of sailors. It's great.
We've also got the Mooloolaba Yacht Club Senior Yachtsman of the Year, I believe. Is that right, Jordan? The over 65s?
Well, about to be the Senior Yachtsman of the Year.
Shut up.
Commodore in waiting.
Boys.
Commodore
Future ex-Commodore.
Future ex-Commodore.
How's this, boys? Right. So,
Here we go.
as you know, I like to think of ideas as I'm sitting there watching things. So,
What, while you're racing?
yeah. I've got plenty of time. Stadium racing is the right thing, right? It is absolutely the right thing. It's a cracker. It's great fun. But the missing element is mandatorily or incentivising the crowd to be more involved, right?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So there's got to be a mark, a half a boat length off the wharf, and the opposing crews who are not in the flight can actually gain a point advantage by having the best heckle. That's what I think.
Well, you definitely won't win that one.
No, it doesn't have to be. But
Shit, I've won the whole regatta.
Hey, Bice, have you seen the movie Basketball?
yes,
It's all about the psych out.
the psych out.
Exactly.
It's the psych out.
Yeah.
If you bring them in, and then the other teams can go the psych out, I reckon that's just got to be part of the rules.
Hey, Jordan, your mum's going out with Squeak.
I tell you who has been brave.
I think it would work.
No, that'd work really well in this day and age. Yeah.
But
Stuff
who
like that.
has been brave are the umpires. So the umpires have also come within a metre of the wharf, and half the sailors are sitting up on the wharf there with drinks in hand. I think it's been pretty brave of the umpires to get that close.
You dirty MPX wearing maggots.
To the AFL.
Yeah. I reckon umpire heckling, that's the next step.
Yep.
Because they can take it.
But that is, we could bring an element of that in, And
bring that. Well, as I've always attested to, you've got to bring the banter back.
Bring the banter.
Without a doubt.
And the
if stadium sailing brings the banter back, stadium sailing all day long.
Yeah.
Well, just bring in the Barkarati Staging Company and we're away.
Yeah.
So just think about it though. Like if you go through some of the teams, like would you then suddenly start selecting just on sailing ability or trash talking ability?
Trash.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly.
Yeah. So you get to select from the bar at the yacht club. So your bar flies at the yacht club might make your team.
You'd still put Fritz in. He comes on.
Right. It opens the door up for serious like roadies. The roadies could be on the team.
Speaking of best sledges, can we open up a short segment here on the best sailing sledges we've ever heard?
Oh, well, we've probably mentioned them a few times, Harry. That's the only thing.
I don't know if you've mentioned this one on the podcast, but speaking of Fritz, Robin Doosan, I heard there was a match racing event happening in Adelaide years ago, and it was Nick Doosan versus Robbie Doosan, father versus son. And Robbie, father, was coming off the line and cleared Nick. Nick was on port, took his stern, and Robbie yelled out, "I've seen your mum naked."
Yep. Yeah, we have actually mentioned that. The only problem with that is it's a brilliant tactical play because all of Nick's crew actually burst out laughing and lost concentration, but so did Fritz's crew. And he loves it. And Andrea, who is a wonderful lady, Robbie's wife, she actually loves this story being told. She's actually up for it. So
the other good one is
the other issue we've got with that is it's very hard to do it to anyone else. Like if you just went across the line and said it to some random guy, I don't think it would go down well.
Yeah, true.
I actually went behind BP tack behind me once on port. I said, I've seen your sis. Oh, no. Sorry.
And I replied, so have I.
The other Robbie Doosan one, just quickly, Ricky Clark, Barrel, his best mate, they do the same thing, cross tacks, and Robbie yells out, "Oi, Barrel, one of us is going the wrong way." And sure enough.
we've done it.
Yeah.
It does freak him right out, doesn't it? Barrel just loses it.
There must be more. So let's dig into the battle.
Actually, people
let's put it out there.
Yeah, Harry, it's
Best
a good
sledges,
topic.
best sledges.
Dig into the barrel, you said, BP.
Bring in the topics. Bring in the sledges. Let's see
For our
what's
listeners,
Best
we've always
sledges.
tried this. We've always asked this for our listeners out there. What do you use on the race course? What do you use?
as a psychological play.
Yeah, a few boys have sent a few things in, but
Yeah, I know some, like your Simon Cunningtons have been known to let, probably more at the bar after racing.
Yeah.
That's where races are won and lost.
Sloth's a famous one for the after the fact.
Yeah. And we can't repeat. There was one famous one at CYCA that can't actually be said.
Oh.
He knows what we were talking about.
Anyway, so we agree that this thing that Mark's created is a winner, or as part of here in Australia, it's a winner, and we agree that the more banter from the crowd is a winner.
Here.
And we agree that our listeners, if you have the urge to actually share something hilarious that's gone down, cheers@barkarati.com, and we will share it. We've got magnificent banter going on in Bicey has put forward what is the best off the beach dinghy, and we've had no response from the monohulls because everyone knows the 505 is the winner.
Well, everyone's too drunk at Rose's 21st tonight to put in their put in their Sharpie.
Well, Sharpie sailors don't know how to use podcast apps, so I'm the only one. So that I'm drowned out.
I was always wondering what that was.
But the cat sailors have come hard. There's just a massive war going on. It's been hilarious.
Well,
My cat's bigger than your cat.
The next event date has been organised. The next event date has been organised.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll keep you posted on that. I've been in touch with the boys.
Are we going to have enough
They're
beer
ready
left,
to go.
or
Yeah, no. Well, I've put aside some, so
a couple of cartons? Yeah.
Yeah, we're on to that. So that'll be my next trip up to the to God's country.
Well, wait till you listen back to the start of this episode, BP.
Yeah.
You're going to have a tear in your eye.
What's that, mate?
Wait till you listen back to the start of this episode. What you missed, mate? You're going to have a tear in your eye.
Well, you just not no idea how fast I drove down the highway to get here.
All right, let's move on, lads. Did you see the old one of those Mod 70s just set a new record for the Fastnet race course? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I see you corrected that.
Why?
Fastnet race /
Course, yeah, not the race.
Correct.
Did you see the banter going on there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Tell me more, BP.
who cares? Right? That's it. You did it, and you timed it perfectly, and they got the record. Yes, they got the record. I'm happy with that.
It's a good record though, 25 hours.
Absolutely fantastic record. And people are saying, but it's not a race, it's not a course, it's not this.
Oh, I got you.
Did you see that? Sorry, I don't know. Sorry if I was going down the wrong path there, but I got onto this path of people saying, but it's not legal, it's not this, it's not that. My God, they went around and they did it. Who cares? I'm loving it.
Yeah, I love it. So
Who cares? I'm loving it.
Yeah. The Mod 70 power play, which
You want some KFC?
did the 595 miles out, so out to Fastnet Rock and back in 25 hours and 4 minutes. That's fairly smoking, and it's Paul Larson was on board.
Oh, old mate.
Our mate Paul Larson, who's a good friend of the show. So
We've got some Barkaratians, haven't we now?
Yep. So from Cows out to Fastnet, around Bishop Rock, back into Plymouth, for those who are familiar with those seas. So I reckon that's pretty cool.
I'm all for it. Records, just take it on. Just make it happen.
Beauty. Well, okay. Would you have wanted to be on board?
Yep.
Bice?
To me, it wasn't as quick as it could have been. I think they should have put the hammer down a bit more.
I love it. What about you, Mark?
Masthead zero instead of fractional, you reckon?
Yeah.
No, well, definitely no Masthead zeros doing 30 plus knots. But no, it could have been much quicker. I mean, let's face it, the 24-hour record on a Volvo 65 is what was it?
603 mile or something.
So,
but yeah, to have to go back and forth though, like you don't get to just.
Yeah, that's right. And you're on a trimaran, and you're going at 90 true. Possibly that's the, it's it possibly could have been quicker.
He's a hard taskmaster. What about you, Mark? Would you do it?
It's an overnight race. Perfect.
Yeah. No sleep.
But what I do know is our friend Miles, with the glass eye, who was the navigator on board, he had to pull his eye out a few times and rub it down to get the salt off.
Oh. And very well-known navigator in the world of sailing, so quite talented, and actually backed out, did the work for our friends around the Round Island event as well, so he's on fire at the moment. BP,
Yeah.
you worked your ass off today, didn't you, mate? You drove up to Wangi to drop some Sailors Lager off for the Moth Nationals, as well as up to here for the Sailors.
As well as the same amount to Jody Shields, probably.
Yeah. So the Moth Nationals are on at Wangi.
Correct.
And just for those who are interested, it's because a Moth is a lot of people that's just starting. I just thought we'd give them a mention because they bought a whole bunch of Sailors Lager. They've got about 40 entrants starting today as we're recording. So yesterday, if you're listening straight away, or the day before, if you're listening a day later, and so on and so forth. And finishing on the 14th of April. So that'll be a bit of fun. So some Moth Carnage coming along there. Yep. Did you talk to anyone BP down there, or any favourites? Did you see who was entered? Anything like that?
Well, I saw a bunch of trailers. They were all out sailing.
All right.
How strange.
Okay.
No, I got there and it was Lynn and her friend in there setting up the
nice
kiosk.
You know you're doing well when you got it in.
I was stoked, and they were stoked. I rock up and I said, I'm BP from Barkarati, the sailing podcast, and here's 5 cartons of beer, and they were so happy. Yeah. They had the barbecue getting ready. Everything was look. It's just the Wangi Sailing Club.
Wait until you send them the invoice.
I heard Lynn's probably drunk 2 of the cases already.
Yeah, we don't need to speak to you blokes again.
It's all right. I've got a photo. He sent a photo through. Nick Doosan, of course, son of Fritz, has sent a photo and has thanked us for the effort. And look, they're going to have a great time at the old Wangi Sailing Club. The conditions were beautiful today.
Yeah.
I got there and they were all out, obviously sailing, but it was sort of 15 or 7 or 12 knots or so, but it was just beautiful, and they were out there. I could see them. I just wanted to hang out there, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I had another delivery to do.
Yeah, no, you worked.
BB's beer delivery.
Worked like a trooper today, mate. And your meal's going cold as we're recording too, so you're really sacrificing today.
No, goat curry doesn't go cold.
How many episodes of Barkarati did you make your family listen to on the drive up and back?
It was an hour and a half up, and it was 2 hours up because we had to stop at Wangi. But so there's 1.5 episodes, and then 1 episode on the way back. So we're all up to date now.
Good work.
Well, I guess I had a good sleep.
Oh.
Actually, to be honest with you, I got to thank them. I've got to thank my family. They were wonderful. Obviously, we were let down by the World Surfing League interrupting our plans, but they were wonderful today just to get up there, and they were a big part of this whole delivery thing. It was good on them.
Cool,
yeah.
Cool.
Bravo.
All right, so we got one last topic that I want to bring up, and this one could go forever, but the overwhelming question I've been asked, and you guys are probably the same, is about the actuals, is how do we see it being resolved, this mould 11 issue? And I want to throw something out there that I've said back to a few people, and I want to see what their reactions are.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, people asking me that question are presuming that people want to resolve this. I actually think there could be an element out there that do not want to resolve the issue for mould 11. They just want them gone.
And it's a fair call. It's a fair call.
I just want to put
Mark,
that out there.
Can I ask Mark Turnball?
Yep.
I think it'll be resolved in the courts. I don't know how, but that's why I think it's going to end up. I think it'll go beyond. It's maybe not an Australian sailing or world sailing or association issue. I just think it'll come down to money and it'll go to court.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, that's obviously a possibility. But the most important thing at the moment that is going ahead and is actually happening as we speak is, as we discussed, the audit of the boats. And the problem is, making sure that all the other boats are available and making sure there's enough mix of boats to make it a credible audit. That's the key to it. The problem
to me,
it's opening a can of worms.
Biggest can of worms.
We know.
Yeah.
But what they've done, this is, and here we go. What they've done is they've pushed aside one boat and gone, here you go, that's your boat. but no one knows what the other boats are. So that's what they need to do. Anyway, that's my 2 bobs worth. I'm out.
All right, farewell, baby. Harry,
Well,
you on top of this, mate?
the situation needs impartiality.
Oh, I've got a question for this. Keep going.
And you know, you're not. This is the thing with internal class matters, and having been involved in, you know, nothing of this magnitude, but when you have internal class matters, everyone's got an opinion because they're all invested in the class. But then the class isn't willing to bring someone in impartial to umpire or adjudicate the situation before it gets to court because everyone's egos are too big. So my take is that if the people and you know, if the people in the Etchell class are serious about their class continuing and surviving, they need to be pretty upfront about the conversations that they need to have and bring in some sort of impartial judgment to get it to that point. And
well, that's what.
If you don't let it get to that point,
I don't think Grant Simmer's impartial, though.
Well, yes and no. Well, I think that the whole thing just has to be governed externally from any owners, and that's the key to it at the moment.
But you're all assuming that people are trying to work to a resolution, and I just wonder. I don't know, and I'm not accusing anyone. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Well, we're still waiting for a response from someone who can fill us in.
On the other side,
we know that we've invited, and no one's come to us.
Yeah, but what's that going to do, though? There's been a ruling, right?
World sailing ruling that the mould is
correct.
not registered, so
that is not, and that's the ruling. So going back to your comment, Mark, unless someone brings it up and takes it to court, that would be the only next ruling.
But is world sailing impartial? Do we know?
No, we don't.
And what's world sailing's role from a constitutional point of view in the Etchell's class? I don't know. I'm just throwing more cans of worms into the fire, but I don't know. We'll wait and see.
No, I do think it's a can of worms you don't want to open.
But it's
people don't know who I am, Mark. So.
It's open. It's open already. It's already open, Bull.
Yeah, and it's not just the M11 issue.
Barkarati ain't going to stop it or fuel it. It's just happening.
The whole concept of due process with the hope that everyone wants to aspire to ensuring that the Etchell fleet stays together as a one design class, it's almost thrown out the window. I hate to say it.
Well, the word box rule's coming around quite regularly. it's how it is.
Oh,
it's a box
man.
rule.
This is going to be
Mast height, sail area.
Master beam.
By the way,
Master
I've just
beam.
moved. I do have 2 different magnets, the E22 and the AM22 on the wall here.
okay. So here's a question.
All right.
Here's a question.
Hey, Bull, we're thinking about doing a Champions League with the Mold 11 base. That's already up in the air. Coffs Harbour, it's all happening.
Yeah, no, I think it would be for the
Are you
Masters
interested?
division.
Are you interested?
No, for Masters division, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think the kids want to sail them. I think kids want fast boats.
But if I listed off the names who are sailing the boats, it's a pretty damn
Absolutely,
good thing.
yeah.
Okay. So whilst Harry is here, are you still president of the Australian Sharpie class?
Yes, but I would like to disclose that I'm not speaking in that capacity right now.
Okay.
But sure, why not? Ask me some questions.
How would the Australian Sharpie class resolve this situation?
Oh, geez. There's a number of ways.
Yes, I'm just intrigued.
Well, I mean, the Sharpie class...
Hypothetically.
So the Sharpie class has...
Jeez, that is a bloody good one.
The Sharpie class has a history of... obviously there's rules, right?
rules?
But there's there's rules, but there's some rules that are really, really hard to, measure without cutting a boat in half. For example, there's like a square foot of carbon rule, so you can have certain amount of carbon fibre in a hull, but only so much. Mm-hmm. And when you build the boat, it's obviously important where you want to put that allocation of carbon. And
I've seen this, yeah.
And this is the thing, is that boats are built and volunteer measurers are in positions that either allow these boats to be measured or grandfathered. I'm just saying that this is what goes on in the bar, right? This is the sort of conversation that happens. And once a boat got its measurement certificate, it's a Sharpie forever. Mm-hmm. And some of those boats have won, countless championships, but those boats have also been sailed by some of the best sailors in the class. And the beautiful thing about a Sharpie is that the Sharpie, you can sail an old banger, you can sail a brand new boat. Generally, they're pretty well on the pace if you're sailing them right. So these sorts of things, if this was happening now and there was a rogue builder coming out and wanting to build a Sharpie, first of all, it's not commercial enough probably for that to occur, where people are trying to rort the system. Do you know what I mean? But ultimately the class is pro building boats. We need more boats built.
Yeah,
and
it's a different conversation though.
Yeah,
like the whole mold 11 thing. It's a paperwork thing.
Yeah,
right.
True.
It's got nothing to do with the shape, the size, or anything like that. It's purely
How
paperwork.
many builders of Sharpies are there?
there's 2 at the moment, and a third one being.
They have, and the mould is from a plug.
The 2 moulds that are currently there, there's a mould. Both are in South Australia. The Hazel Grove mould, the Yachtcraft mould, was off of a plug, I believe.
But you can still build to scantlings, right?
Sorry,
Which you can't. You can still build to scantlings.
Yeah.
You can't do that in naturals.
Right.
You have to build in
you can build a Sharpie in your backyard and go and get it measured, right? And if it measures, it's a Sharpie. But it's a different conversation. Honestly, I think the difference is where I come from class administration is that if more people wanted to build more Sharpies, that means more Sharpies are going to be racing. And I'd sit there and say, all right, well, as long as they measure, then giddy up, let's go sailing. Whereas in this situation, if more Etchels are being built, I look at that and I go, oh, there's another builder of Etchels. How good would that be for Etchels? But that's just how I think, right? So
I was way more.
And that's
serious.
a good way. It's a good way of thinking. But unfortunately, there's a certain element of this that's gone down the wrong path. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, but it's why do you build boats? To sail them? And obviously you've got to make sure they measure and go through that.
The other side of that Etchel argument is that they've got to be fair Etchels.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's where the conversation is. But anyway. Yeah. So,
well, as Bicey alluded to a second ago, it's all about the paperwork. Unfortunately, that's I believe that's where it's at. And fortunately, until they solve that problem, we're going to be continuing down this merry-go-round.
This goes back to Mark Turnbull's conversation about leadership.
And it's 100% true.
All right,
we need the ombudsman.
Just final comment, Mark, before we shut the whole thing down. You're president of World Sailing. What will you do in this situation?
And no one's listening. No one's listening. Oh, no one.
I would.
Do you want to know that last week or the 2 weeks ago with our episode for the Etchels, went skyrocketed? So just be careful.
Yep, I'd mandate that everyone has to sail in the Sailing Champions League in RS21s. Problem solved.
There we go.
Fair enough.
Yep. Free entry for anyone that trades in their Etchel.
I know that there are Etchel people moving into another 3-person class right now.
Sharpies?
The VXs.
Oh, Sharpies are going to offer a 10% deal.
Trade in your Etchel.
We're all coming down.
They're too old.
I'll speak to the manufacturers.
They're too old.
All right, team. I reckon we're done and dusted. We've had a lot of fun. A unique experience for tonight. I hope the listeners enjoyed it. We really try and let us know if you don't enjoy it. Just send money if you're not happy, and that way we know that you're unhappy. That's all we ask.
So far, everyone's happy.
Yeah, everyone's been happy so
we
far.
can't get any money.
No money coming in.
Can I claim the fuel back today on tax, by the way, Vicey?
Here. Yep. But we got to make money to claim.
Oh, right. Okay.
So,
yeah,
it's not happening.
Right. We're building losses for future income. Right. Thanks, Mark, mate. It's been a ton of fun. We've been having a grand time together. Thanks, Harry, for stepping in as well. Thanks, boys. Everyone happy?
Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for
Paul,
having us.
Harry, awesome.
Bloody good. Hey, good to see you all today. Sorry I didn't get to catch up and shake your hand today, Jay.
No
I
worries,
watched
bud.
you.
Thanks for
I
all
came
the
and saw
efforts.
your sail.
All right, lads. See ya.
See you later.
Right.